Welcome to CineChat, your podcast for all things movies and TV.
And you know what that means.
Another deep dive.
Absolutely. Today, we're doing something a little different, though.
You know how much we love those intriguing details and behind-the-scenes facts.
The stuff that really makes you appreciate a film or show on another level.
Exactly. So we thought, why not turn it into a trivia game?
Ooh, I like where this is going.
We've got all our research ready, a whole bunch of sources on Squid Game Season 2.
We're talking Looper videos, IMDb, Wikipedia, even a Straits Times article.
And we're going to quiz each other with all the fascinating stuff we've uncovered.
Sounds fun. But how are we keeping score?
Simple. 1 point for each correct answer. And absolutely no interrupting the one answering.
Deal. Ready to put your Squid Game knowledge to the test.
Bring it on. All right, you go first. Hit me with a question.
Okay, let me see. This is a good one. Despite mixed reviews, Season 2 was a massive hit. But just how big of a hit are we talking? What was its global view count according to the Straits Times?
Ooh, tricky one right off the bat. But I remember this. It was a record-breaking 68 million views. Biggest debut ever for a Netflix original.
That's right. 1 point for you. All right, your turn to ask me a question.
Okay, let's dig into those hidden details from the Looper video. Remember that bit about the front man? Why do you think he went out of his way to make sure Jung-bae survived the games?
Well, it's definitely not because he's a nice guy. I think it's because the front man sees himself in Jung-bae. Remember, he's a former winner of the games himself, as the Looper video points out. Maybe he recognizes Jung-bae's strength, his will to survive, and it triggers some kind of twisted empathy. Or maybe he has some ulterior motive, wants to manipulate Jung-bae for his own purposes down the line.
Ooh, good point. That definitely fits with the front man's morally ambiguous character, let's say. All right, 1 point for you. Back to me for a question. What tactic did the game creators use at the start of the games to create a false sense of security among the players, as highlighted in the Looper video?
Yes. This one was pretty chilling. The guards were intentionally unarmed at first, remember. No weapons, just those creepy masks and pink jumpsuits. It was all designed to lull the players into a false sense of safety before the real carnage began.
Exactly. 1 point for you. You're catching up. Okay, your turn to ask a question.
All right, let's see. What's something specific that the Looper video points out about the way the show uses camera angles, especially in relation to gi-hun?
The camera angles. I remember they talked about how they often focus on gi-hun, almost like they're highlighting his importance from the very beginning. Could be foreshadowing his role in challenging the game somehow.
You got it. Another point for you. It's getting intense. Okay, back to you. What did the Looper video suggest about the significance of the names Se-byok and No-yul, especially considering their shared background as North Korean defectors?
This is a good one. They pointed out that Se-byok means dawn and No-yul means sunrise. It made me wonder if there's a deeper connection between them, maybe even a sibling bond that we haven't seen yet. It would be an interesting twist.
That's an excellent point. Very insightful. Another point for you. Now, before we go any further, we want to hear from you, our awesome listeners.
What details have stood out to you so far? Anything that surprised you or left you scratching your head?
Head over to our social media and share your thoughts. We might even feature some of your best insights in our next deep dive.
All right, back to the game. It's my turn to ask you a question, right?
That's right. Lay it on me.
Okay, let's get a bit biographical here. According to IMDb, when did Hwang Dong-hik, the creator of Squid Game, actually come up with the concept for the show?
Let me think. Oh, I know this. It was way back in 2009. But it took a whole decade before Netflix finally greenlit it.
You're on fire. Another point for you. We might need to make this a best of 5 rounds.
All right, your turn to answer. What was one of the main inspirations behind the games in Squid Game, as mentioned in the Wikipedia entry? Think back to Hwang Dong-hik's childhood.
Oh, I remember this. He drew inspiration from the children's games he played growing up. I think he wanted to capture that ironic twist of turning something innocent and nostalgic into something brutal and deadly.
Bingo. You're right on the money. 1 point for you. It's neck and neck now.
This is getting intense. Okay, your turn to ask a question.
All right, let's delve into some of the darker aspects of the show. According to the Wikipedia entry, what real-life event influenced the creation of gi-hun's character? Think about events in South Korea's recent history.
Let me think. Was it the Sangyeong motor labor strike in 2009?
Yeah.
The one that highlighted the struggles of workers facing economic hardship?
Yes, that's exactly it. Another point for you. We're tied.
This is getting down to the wire. Okay, hit me with another question.
All right, let's shift gears and talk about those enigmatic guards.
Well,
What is the primary motivation for the guards to participate in the games, according to the Bryce Edward Brown YouTube video?
ooh, that's a good one. Let me think. It all boils down to money, right? The Bryce Edward Brown video suggested that the guards are just as desperate for financial gain as the players themselves. They're in it for the cash, even if it means participating in something so morally ambiguous.
That's absolutely right. 1 point for you. Looks like you're in the lead now.
Phew, that was a close one.
Ah.
All right, your turn to answer a question. What subtle but significant change did the creators make to the Pink Guards in Season 2 compared to their portrayal in the first season, as mentioned in the Bryce Edward Brown YouTube video?
This is a good one. Let me think. Oh, I know. In Season 2, we actually get to see glimpses of the Pink Guards' faces. Remember those scenes where they're peering out from beneath their masks? It was a subtle way to humanize them, to remind us that they're individuals with their own stories and motivations.
You mailed it. Another point for you. It's anyone's game now. This is what I love about deep diving into these details. It's like uncovering a whole new layer of the story.
I know, right? You start to notice things you might have missed on the first watch, and it makes you appreciate the creator's artistry even more.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Ready for another question?
Bring it on. I'm ready for a challenge.
All right, here's a tricky one from the Looper video. Remember the Mingle game? The one where players have to pair up based on a number, and some are tragically left without a partner. What do you think the creators were trying to convey through this particular game?
Ooh, that's a tough one. But I think it highlights the brutal and dehumanizing nature of the games. They strip away social bonds and reduce people to their basest instincts for survival. Like that heartbreaking scene where the son abandons his mother to save himself.
Wow, you're right on the mark. It's a chilling illustration of how the games can warp people's morals and force them to make impossible choices.
Exactly. It's one of the things that makes Squid Game so thought-provoking. It forces us to confront the darker side of human nature.
Well said. All right, it's your turn to ask a question.
Okay, let's stick with the Looper video for this one. They had a pretty intriguing theory about player 246, the father with the sick daughter. Do you remember what it was?
Wait, player 246, the one who gets shot.
Yes. What did the Looper video suggest about his fate?
Yes. They pointed out that we never actually see his body hit the ground after he's shot, and the guard who shoots him seems to intentionally aim lower than the heart. Could it be that player 246 somehow survived?
Exactly. They even speculated that No Yule, with her medical knowledge and compassionate nature, might have played a role in ensuring his survival. It would be a pretty amazing twist, wouldn't it?
I love that theory. It would definitely add another layer of complexity to the narrative and give us a glimmer of hope in that brutal world.
I agree. All right, your turn to ask a question.
Okay, let's dive back into the symbolism of Squid Game. Remember how the Looper video discussed the set design for the marbles game? What was so interesting about it?
Yes. The marbles game. If I remember correctly, the set design was inspired by the creator's own childhood memories. They blended elements of reality and artifice, almost like the games themselves are a reflection of his inner psyche.
That's exactly right. It's like the show is blurring the lines between reality and illusion, just like the games themselves blur the lines between right and wrong, morality and survival.
It's a brilliant use of symbolism. It really adds another layer of depth to the visual storytelling.
Well said. You're on a roll. You've really been paying attention to those Looper videos.
Well, they're full of fascinating insights. You can't help but get sucked in.
I know, right? Okay, your turn to ask a question.
All right, let's talk about the cultural impact of Squid Game. According to the Wikipedia entry, what unexpected culinary trend emerged after the show's release? Think about one of the games and a particular treat.
Oh, I know this one. It was Dalgona candy. Remember that honeycomb-like treat from the Honeycomb game? It became a huge hit all over the world after Squid Game premiered.
You got it. Another point for you. It's amazing how a show can influence even food trends, right?
It really is. It shows the power of pop culture and nostalgia. It's like everyone wanted a taste of that Squid Game world, even if it was just through a sweet treat.
Absolutely. All right, your turn to ask a question.
Okay, let's talk about the business side of things. According to the Straits Times article, how much value did the first season of Squid Game generate for Netflix?
Oh, this one's easy. A whopping $900 million. No wonder they were quick to greenlight a second season.
You're on fire today. Another point for you. You're catching up fast.
It's anyone's game now. All right, your turn to answer. What did the Straits Times article highlight as one of the most significant impacts of Squid Game beyond its entertainment value?
Let me see. I think they talked about how the show sparked important conversations about social issues, particularly economic inequality. It's not just a show, it's a social commentary that's got people thinking and talking.
That's absolutely right. Another point for you. It's a tie again. This game is getting intense.
I know, right? Each question is like a step on those glass stepping stones, one wrong move, and it's all over. Okay, your turn to ask a question.
All right, let's see. Remember that scene in the Looper video where one of the trapdoors explodes unexpectedly? They pointed out something peculiar about Captain Park's reaction, or rather, his lack of reaction. What was it?
Ah, yes. While all the other guards were startled by the explosion, Captain Park didn't even flinch.
You got it. Another point for you. You're back in the lead.
Shoo, I was worried about that one. But it makes you think, doesn't it? What does Captain Park know that we don't? Is he more involved with the game's organizers than we realize?
It's definitely a chilling detail that hints at his deeper involvement in the whole operation.
Okay, your turn to answer a question. What symbolic meaning did the creators embed in the players' uniforms, those iconic green tracksuits, as discussed in the Looper video?
Ugh, the green tracksuits. They're more than just clothes, that's for sure. They represent the dehumanization and control that the players are subjected to. By stripping them of their individuality and forcing them into identical uniforms, the game creators are effectively turning them into anonymous pawns in their twisted game.
You're absolutely right. Another point for you. It's a tie again. This is getting down to the wire.
I know, my heart is racing. All right, your turn to answer. What iconic piece of classical music is used to signal the start of a new game in Squid Game, as mentioned in the Wikipedia entry?
Oh, I know this one. It's the Blue Danube Waltz by Johann Strauss II.
Yes, you got it. Another point for you.
I'm back in the lead.
This is getting intense. All right, your turn to ask a question.
Okay, let's delve into the frontman's psyche for a moment. The Looper video pointed out a detail about his backstory that raises questions about his emotional state and his motivations. Do you remember what it was?
Let me think. Ah, yes. They mention that the frontman tells the other players that his wife is still alive and that they're expecting a child, but the Looper video revealed that his wife actually passed away years ago.
Exactly. Why do you think he would fabricate such a story? What's the purpose of this deception?
Ooh, that's a good question. It adds a whole new layer of mystery to his character. Maybe he's trying to create a sense of normalcy in his own mind, clinging to a fabricated reality to cope with the trauma of his past. Or maybe it's all part of a larger manipulation tactic. We'll have to wait and see what Season 3 reveals.
That's a wrap for part 1 of our Squid Game Trivia Challenge.
Don't worry, we'll be back with more questions and more deep dives in part 2.
And remember, we want to hear from you. Head over to our social media and share your thoughts on the show and any details that have caught your attention. We might even feature some of your best insights in our next deep dive.
We'll see you in part 2. Welcome back to CineChat.
Round 2 of our Squid Game Trivia Challenge. Are you ready to test your knowledge?
I'm feeling the heat, but bring it on. What have you got for me?
All right, let's see if you remember this detail from the Looper video. Remember that scene where the son abandons his mother during the Mingle game? How does the front man, disguised as player 001, use this event to his advantage?
Ah, that scene was brutal. The front man, always the manipulator, right? He subtly points out the son's actions to gi-hun, making him question humanity and planting seeds of doubt.
Exactly. It's a chilling example of how the front man operates, always pulling the strings. All right, your turn to ask me a question.
Okay, let's dig into the origins of the show's title, Squid Game. What did the Wikipedia entry reveal about the significance of this title?
The title, Squid Game. Oh, I remember. It was a popular children's game in Korea in the 70s and 80s, and I think the creator chose it to highlight the fierce competition and societal pressures that are central themes in the show. Kind of ironic, right? Taking a childhood game and turning it into something so deadly.
You got it. It's like a twisted reflection of childhood. Another point for you. Your turn.
Okay, this one's from the Wikipedia entry, and it's a bit of a curveball. What surprising detail did Hwang Dong-yuk reveal about player 218, Cho Sang-woo?
Player 218, Cho Sang-woo. This is a tough one. Let me think. Oh, I know. It has to do with his number, right? 218. I remember the Wikipedia entry saying that it was a pun based on how it's pronounced in Korean, sounding similar to a common Korean swear word.
You're absolutely right. 1 point for you. It's amazing how much thought went into every little detail of this show?
I know, right? Okay, your turn to answer a question. The Looper video highlighted a subtle detail about the son's behavior in the red light, green light game. What was it, and how does it contrast with his actions in the Mingle game?
The sun in red light, green light. Okay, I remember the Looper video pointing out that in that game,
Hmm.
when the danger becomes real, the son actually jumps in front of his mother to protect her. But in the Mingle game, he abandons her to save himself. It's like his survival instincts completely took over in that moment.
Exactly. Another point for you. It really shows the psychological toll those games take on the players.
Okay, your turn to ask a question.
All right, this one's about the music. What surprising song choice did the creators use in the red light, green light game in Season 1, as noted by the Wikipedia entry? Think about the tone of the song and how it contrasts with what's happening on screen.
Ooh, I know this one. It was Frank Sinatra's Fly Me to the Moon. It's such a romantic and hopeful song, which makes the brutal killings happening during the game even more disturbing.
You nailed it! Another point for you. The creators really knew how to use music to create a sense of unease. Your turn.
Okay, let's get back to the Looper video. They had a fascinating observation about gi-hun's actions during the Glass Stepping Stones game. Do you remember what it was?
gi-hun in the Glass Stepping Stones game. Oh yeah, I remember this. The Looper video pointed out that gi-hun actually slows down on purpose, letting more players fall to their deaths. It makes you question his motives, doesn't it?
Exactly. On the surface, he seems like a good guy, but that moment suggests there's a darker side to him as well.
Okay, my turn to ask. According to the Wikipedia entry, what real-world event influenced the creator's depiction of the economic anxieties and desperation that drive the players to participate in the games?
Ooh, good question. It was the 2008 global financial crisis, right? The Wikipedia entry mentioned how it impacted the Korean economy, leading to bank instability, rising interest rates, and people taking risky loans just to survive. It mirrors the situation of many of the players in Squid Game.
You are on a roll. Another point for you. Your knowledge is impressive.
All right, your turn to answer. What do you think the creators were trying to convey through the character of No Yule? Think about the theme she embodies, even in such a dark and brutal world.
No, Yule. I think she represents hope and compassion. Even when surrounded by darkness, she still shows kindness and tries to help others. She's like a reminder that even in the worst of times, humanity can shine through.
That's a beautiful interpretation. I totally agree.
All right, it's your turn to ask a question.
Okay, this one's about the front man again. The Looper video analyzed a specific scene that highlights his manipulation of gi-hun's emotions. Do you remember which scene I'm talking about? Think about a scene we've already discussed.
The front man manipulating gi-hun. I think it's the scene where the son abandons his mother during the Mingle game. The way player 001, actually the front man in disguise, points it out to gi-hun is so calculated and manipulative.
You got it. He's playing mind games with gi-hun, trying to break him down psychologically.
It's pretty messed up. Okay, your turn to answer. What does the Wikipedia entry tell us about the origins of the show's title, Squid Game?
Oh, we've already covered this one. Remember, Squid Game was a popular children's game in Korea back in the 70s and 80s.
Oops, you're right. My bad. I guess I need to brush up on my Squid Game trivia. All right, your turn to ask a question.
Okay, here's another one from the Looper video. They noticed a subtle detail about Captain Park during a pivotal scene. They mentioned that while all the other guards are visibly startled by something unexpected happening, Captain Park doesn't even flinch. What was it that surprised the other guards?
Oh, I remember this. It was when one of the trapdoors exploded. Everyone else jumped, but Captain Park remained completely calm, almost as if he knew it was going to happen.
You're absolutely right. It's those little details that make you wonder if Captain Park knows more about what's going on behind the scenes than he lets on.
Okay, my turn to ask. What symbolic meaning did the creators embed in those iconic green tracksuits worn by the players, as discussed in the Looper video?
We've talked about this one too. They represent the dehumanization and control that the players experience. Stripped of their individuality, they're just anonymous pawns in the game.
You're right. I need to come up with some harder questions. All right, your turn to answer a question. What famous piece of classical music, noted in the Wikipedia entry, signals the start of a new game in Squid Game?
The Blue Danube. That beautiful waltz by Johann Strauss II creates such a chilling contrast to the violence about to unfold.
You're on fire. Okay, your turn to ask. What did the Looper video reveal about the frontman that makes you question his motivations and emotional state?
They revealed that the frontman's story about his wife being alive and pregnant is completely fabricated. His wife actually passed away years ago.
That's right. What do you think is the purpose behind that lie? Is he just trying to hold on to some semblance of a normal life, or is it something more sinister?
It's a real head-scratcher. All right, before we get to our final round, we want to hear from you, our amazing listeners. What are your thoughts on Squid Game Season 2? Any details or theories that have blown your mind?
Head over to our social media and let us know. We might even feature some of your insights in our next deep dive.
All right, it's time for our final round.
Bring it on. I'm ready for a challenge.
Okay, here's a question about the front man again. The Looper video analyzed a scene where he subtly manipulates gi-hun's emotions. Which scene was it? Think about a scene we've already discussed.
The scene where the son abandons his mother in the Mingle game. It's chilling how the front man, disguised as player 001, uses that event to plant seeds of doubt in gi-hun's mind.
You're right. He's a master manipulator.
Okay, your turn to answer. According to the Wikipedia entry, what is the meaning behind the show's title, Squid Game?
Squid Game was a popular children's game in Korea in the 70s and 80s. The creator chose it to highlight the ironic contrast between innocent childhood games and the deadly competition in the show.
You got it. It's a title that perfectly captures the show's themes.
Okay, your turn to ask a question. What detail did the Looper video point out about Captain Park that suggests he might be more involved with the game's organizers than we realize?
Oh, I remember this one. It was during the scene where the trapdoor explodes. While all the other guards are startled, Captain Park doesn't even flinch. It's like he knew it was going to happen all along.
You're absolutely right. Another point for you. You've definitely been paying attention to those details.
I try my best. Okay, your turn to answer. What's the symbolic meaning behind those green tracksuits that all the players have to wear, as explained in the Looper video?
They symbolize the dehumanization and control that the players are subjected to. Stripped of their individuality, they're just numbers in a game.
Correct. Again, another point for you.
Okay, your turn to ask a question. What famous piece of classical music is used to signal the start of a new game in Squid Game, according to the Wikipedia entry?
That would be the Blue Danube Waltz by Johann Strauss II. Its beauty and elegance make the violence that follows even more unsettling.
You are correct.
All right.
All right, last question. What did the Looper video uncover about the frontman's backstory that makes his character even more intriguing and mysterious?
They revealed that his story about his wife being alive and pregnant is a complete lie. His wife passed away years ago. It makes you wonder what's going on in his head and what his true motivations are.
You got it. That's another point for you. Wow, you really came back strong in this round.
I had to step up my game. This Squid Game trivia is no joke.
I know, right? It's been a blast deep diving into all these details with you.
Me too.
But wait. Before we go, we have to announce the winner of our trivia challenge.
Drum roll, please.
And the winner is...
And the winner is... you. Congratulations.
Wow, what a close game. I barely squeaked by. But honestly, I think we both won by diving deep into all these Squid Game details.
I agree. I learned so much, even though I thought I knew the show inside and out.
Me too. It's amazing how those little details can add so much depth and complexity to the story.
Absolutely. But before we go, let's tie everything together and leave our listeners with some final thoughts.
Sounds good to me. What's been on your mind?
Well, remember how the Wikipedia entry mentioned that Hwang Dong-haik originally intended Squid Game to be a commentary on the irony of turning innocent children's games into something deadly? I think he achieved that brilliantly.
Yeah. By taking those simple, nostalgic games we all remember from childhood and twisting them into life or death situations, he created this really unsettling contrast.
Exactly. It makes you question the nature of innocence, the fragility of life, and the dark side of human nature.
Absolutely. And speaking of dark sides, let's circle back to the Wikipedia entry's discussion of the 2008 global financial crisis and its impact on the Korean economy. Why do you think the show's creator chose to ground the narrative in this particular historical context?
Well, for me, it adds a layer of realism and social commentary that makes the show even more impactful. By connecting the characters' desperation to a real-world event, the creator is reminding us that these themes of economic inequality and survival are not just fictional constructs, they're reflections of very real struggles that people face every day.
Oh, I totally agree. It makes those high-stakes decisions in the game feel even more relatable and heartbreaking. It's like, what would we do in those situations?
Right. It's a question that lingers long after the credits roll.
Speaking of things that linger, remember that Wikipedia entry about Season 3?
Oh, yeah, I almost forgot. Mark your calendars, folks. Squid Game Season 3 is slated for 2025.
I can't wait to see what Hwang Dong-hyuk has in store for us. But in the meantime, let's talk about one of the show's biggest mysteries, the front man. We've uncovered so much about his backstory, but there are still so many questions.
Yeah. Like, is he really as heartless as he seems? Or is there a glimmer of humanity still buried deep down inside? Remember that detail from the Looper video about his fabricated story about his wife? What was that all about?
Ugh, I know. It's like a mind-boggling detail. Is he clinging to some made-up reality to cope with his trauma? Or is it all part of a bigger, twisted game?
We'll have to wait and see what season 3 reveals.
Uh,
But let's not forget about another detail that really got to me, the one about the son in the Mingle game.
oh yeah, the one where he chooses to save himself and abandons his mother? Brutal.
It's a heartbreaking illustration of how those games can completely erode compassion and reduce people to their most basic survival instincts.
It's a chilling reminder that even those who seem to have a moral compass can be corrupted when faced with impossible choices. And speaking of those tough choices, I can't stop thinking about gi-hun and that detail from the Looper video about him intentionally slowing down during the glass stepping stones game.
Yeah, the one where he lets other players fall to their deaths. It makes you question his motives, doesn't it? Is he truly a good guy, or is there a darkness lurking beneath the surface?
It's like those games twist everyone, even those who start with good intentions.
Exactly. It makes you wonder if true redemption is even possible in that world.
Deep stuff. And to think, it all started with a simple children's game, as that Wikipedia entry reminded us.
The creator, Hwang Dong-hook, drew inspiration from his own childhood experiences growing up in South Korea during tough economic times.
It's amazing how those personal experiences can shape such powerful and thought-provoking stories. And that brings us to the end of our deep dive into Squid Game Season 2. It's been an amazing journey.
I've had a blast dissecting all those details and theories with you.
Me too. But remember, the conversation doesn't end here. We want to hear from you, our fantastic listeners. What are your thoughts on Squid Game? What details or theories have you obsessed over?
Head over to our social media and share your thoughts. We might even feature some of your insights in our next deep dive.
Right? Until next time,
Yeah.
keep watching
Keep thinking.
and keep the conversation going.
See you next time.